So I've had a couple of requests lately from subscribers asking how do you change the driver's seatbelt. I'm not sure why they wanted to change it. Maybe they're fraying or something like that. Maybe they do a whole load of driving, they're always in the car and it's been rubbing and it's starting to wear out. So I thought we'd have a look anyway, see what's involved and go about finding out how to do it. Because I'm guessing we're going to need to take this bit of paneling off down here, because that's where the bottom fixing is. What we're going to need to do is take the seat out. And obviously with the seat, where we've got the airbags in them, first thing we need to do is disconnect the battery. So under the bonnet, just at our battery, first thing we're going to do, just remove the main negative. So just pushing the little red lever on the top, give it a little wiggle, lifting it up, and slowly and surely, away it comes. We just tuck that down the side, so it's not going to come back on. And then we've just got a 10mm socket, which we're just going to do, and just slowly release this terminal. That's nice and loose, and we're just going to, again, grab it and wiggle it. Off it comes, and we'll just tuck that to the side and make sure that that's not going to come back on there. Now the battery is disconnected, we're just going to leave it about half an hour or so just to let any capacitors discharge. Okay, it's been about half an hour now, so hopefully any powers and any capacitors will have discharged. So next step is to get the seat out. What I'll try and do maybe is put a little link up just here somewhere for taking you to the video about how to remove the seats. Okay, great. So with the seat out of the way, now we can really get into where we need to get to. We can see obviously we've got the bottom fixing, which is behind this bit of panel down here. So we're going to need to be able to take that off. And this whole one section all the way up to about here is one section. And then obviously we've got the main point, which is here, which is another section which comes all the way up to here as well. So this one has the airbag in. So it's a good job that we obviously disconnected the battery, because we don't want to be taking this off if we're going to be playing around with panels that are covering over the airbags. So definitely we need to remove the battery connection, which is really good. So that's isolated obviously because we've taken the seat out. We'll see how we get on with light levels today as well. Obviously we've got the sun coming through, not that there's a lot of sun, it's a bit wet today, but yeah, if we can get into there for a bit better viewing angle, should we say, so you can see more of what's going on, then I will do. But I think the first things first, probably, well, I think we need to look at removing some of this rubber here, some of these seals, so that we can look at what's involved in taking off, probably I think, this first panel piece here. So I'm guessing to remove this seal, what we can do is just kind of pull it back. It's only kind of a rubber seal, so we can just grab that, prise it away slightly, you can just see the edge comes away, and then we can just pull it off. It just naturally comes away, and that's exposed this edge nicely. So what I'll do now, I'll just do the one on the back door as well, because that's going to be exactly the same. Okay, so with this rear door seal and the front door seal kind of nicely peeled away, we can just see it there. What we've got now is nice clear edges all the way down on this whole panel piece here. So hopefully this section should be able to come away. But obviously, the fact that it has got the airbag, I want to do it as carefully as possible. So what I'm going to do is just get panel pry tool, just one of these, or I've got a combination of different ones. I'm just going to try and get it in there and just wedge it around, just see if we can try and unclip this, because I'm guessing all it's going to be, just like when we did the roof aerial, and we had to remove some of those panels, just a host of different clips that hold it in. So I'll just work around and see exactly what this looks like, and then we can have a look at those fixings and see what's involved. Okay, I was just looking at the bottom here, and you just about see one of those green clips in there. So what I'm going to try and do is just start from the bottom there, see if I can get that unclipped. Ideally I want to do it without breaking any clips if I can, so I'm just going to go nice and carefully and take my time. Okay, so I've got kind of this back side off. You just see it's a bit loose around that side now, and what it showed me was just that there's another green clip here. So I'm going to try and see if I can do this one while videoing it, just so that you can see kind of the sort of pressure that I was putting on it to try and get it off. In the end, all I did was just kind of pulled it with my hand, and it came away nicely, but they are really kind of stiff clips. So let's have a go, see what we can do. Okay, well there we go. It turned out that all we've got is these two green clips. There's one, you can see the other one just kind of come out as it kind of flipped off. So I think that's just on the floor underneath my feet, so I'll pick that up in a second. But then once those two came out, at the top, you can just see it kind of slides in at the top up there. If I move the camera up, a little bit. We'll have a closer look in a second, but there's just a couple of brackets there that it fixes behind. Okay, so there we can see these brackets just up there, actually where it is. So if I show you this bit, we've got those kind of clips there, and that just slid up behind there. So once we had these two green ones out, you can see where they clip into, one fix in there and one fix in that one there. It was easy enough just to pull the bottom out, as you saw in the video. It just come out and then slid down. So that's that one done. What that's exposed is, we can see a couple of fixings there, 1 and 2, loads of fluff, so a good opportunity to clean the car even deeper as well. We'll give it a nice good clean before we go back. But then looking down, further down, what we've got obviously is this panel piece that needs to come off, and it's actually behind this piece here. So we'll have a look, see if we can get away without taking it off, because as we all know, that's the bonnet release catch, and ideally it would be good not to have to take that off if we need to, or if we can get away without taking it off, shall we say. But yeah, I'll have a quick look, see what we can do. Maybe if we just release some of this door rubber a bit further, take it all the way down, we'll be able to have a look. And it might be that we can get away without removing this bit, and this will just unclip. Over this side here, where it comes in again behind, sorry about the foot shot again, same scenario here. So it's actually down behind underneath this bit, so you can see it's underneath that bit. So ideally, again, probably it's going to be easier to take this bit off, but we're going to need to do it to get to this bit for the bottom fixing here. I was also going to mention as well the fact that this bit of panel says airbag, but clearly behind it there is no airbag connection, and there's no airbag fitted here either. So I'm not quite sure if we're going to find an airbag maybe in here. I know you've got the ones in the seat, so it wouldn't make sense that there'd need to be an airbag there. So perhaps it's just a warning to say that an airbag is there, or maybe it's just one of the ones that comes across at the top up here. But yeah, there's certainly no airbag in this column here. Okay, so I'm just going to undo these two fixings here first as well, because it might allow us just to pull it down. I'm not sure if they're clips or screws, because they're plastic, whatever they are. Nice bit of creak, so it sounds like plastic on plastic. But, we'll keep going, see what we find. It looks like it's going to be one of these expansion fixings. So like a screw and a raw plug. So you've got a screw there that you can see. And I'm guessing now this is just going to pull out. I'm going to try not to drop it down it. Yeah, there we go. So it's just actually like a traditional screw and a raw plug look. So that's free on that one. So now there's just the other one here on this side. There we go. So I'll just do the same here, get this one off. Okay, brilliant. So with those two removed, we can see there's a little bit of flex, but what I can feel straight away is it feels like there's some fixings down here, possibly more of those green clips or something like that, just down here. So I'll have a little work, a little play, and see if I can, oh, there we go, just a little bit of force, and it come off. That's one. Carry on down, 2. Oh, brilliant, looking much easier already. Oh, there we go, we can just see these. If I bring the camera down. So we've got, what have we got? Let me get in front of the camera. 2, 4, just 2 there. So there's one there, one there, one there, and one there. Just these white clips, they come really easily. And what we can actually see now is, I'm going to move the camera just so that we can have a look closer down the bottom there. Okay, so coming down, just like we said, we've got those little clips, 1, 2, and then the 2 on the other side, 3, 4. And then coming down, what we can see further down is we've got our main fixing bolt for the seat belt down the bottom there, by the looks of it, the big one in the middle. That looks like it holds the mechanism in place, but obviously what we've got in the front is the fixing point underneath this bit of trim for where the seatbelt comes down and fixes in there. So we're going to need to take this bit of trim off regardless. Even if we were able to get a spanner in there to get that undone, we still wouldn't be able to get into whatever fixing is holding this in. So let's get this trim off. What I'm going to try and do is remove just this rear piece first, so we can avoid hopefully having to take the bonnet release catch off. So we're just going to continue removing this kind of door sill rubber just off the bottom here, so that we can access this a lot easier. It just pulls away nicely. And now hopefully we'll be able to remove this one. We can see the fixing that we've got in there which probably is going to be the same as the one when we did the electric window video, just a few fixings here and here and here. It does go underneath the back seat here, so I'm hoping I don't need to take the back seat out just to be able to remove this bit of trim, because that would just be crazy. But hopefully, yeah, if we can get this off, once then we are able to release the clips on this main bit holding in this seat belt, we should be able to kind of slide it this way a little bit to save us having to remove the same bit of trim via the driver's door. Okay, so that will come away okay in the end. So we can just see you've got at this top end, which is the bit where it just goes in down here, you just about see that kind of hole in the fixing, which is obviously where we've got the clip and this locating pin now. And then you've just got this middle pin, or middle clip should we say, there, and then just one other clip there, and they would go in obviously there, we can just about see there, and then yeah, that one and that one. What that also shows us too is that we've got a Phillips screw just holding in this one, just in this kind of the seatbelt fixing, bit of trim should we say, so we're going to need to remove that. But what that makes me think is that probably the one at the front, there might be a same Phillips fixing in that one as well. I'll show you what I mean, or where I mean. Around the front here where it comes in, I'm suspicious that there might be another Phillips screw underneath that bit. Okay, so with that one Phillips screw just removed there, what I'm going to do is just see if we can move or manipulate this piece of trim to avoid us having to take out anything over here. That feels pretty free. There's been no clips or anything holding it in to this point. So I'm just going to see if I can feel anything there, but it feels like it is screwed in just over here on the left hand side. So I'm just going to have to release it, unfortunately. Okay, so there we go. So I just pulled this rubber away a little bit more. So obviously we are just in the driver's door now. You can tell that because the pedals are there. I just pulled this away a little bit more. Got the pry tool in there, the same pry tool just as before, and just pop that up. And it's been okay. So there's enough flex in it that I'm not going to have to take it off all the way up there to release that bonnet catch as well. So hopefully now we can get to this screw. That should allow us to get this piece off. So I'll just get this screw undone. And now hopefully this bit of trim should come away. So if I just start from that side again, there we go, it's pulled out nicely. And okay, so it's free, it's released. So now I'm guessing we just need to look at some of the fixings for some of these bits and see what would actually be required, or see what's going to be required to release it. Okay, so I've had a good look. What it looks like is where you've got kind of the main seat belt fixing that comes down the side of the seat as such and fixes into this panel that we've removed. Obviously it's all bonded in, so you can't just cut it and replace just that bit. What you've got, if I can get the camera in there, it's molded onto or connected onto the pre-tensioner or the tensioner. So obviously in the event of an accident, what it'll do, this piston will drive and pull this bit of seatbelt down, pulling you snug or pulling it right into your lap, so obviously it holds you tight into your seat. And it looks like it's bonded into that as well right there. It's a bit difficult, sorry about the camera angles. And there's not, this fixing here is just a pin. It looks like it's just kind of like a rivet pin as such, so it's not anything that you'll be able to undo. But what there is down there that holds the bracket in, that fixes the entire rod in, is a bolt. And what I've been able to do, just release the carpet from underneath the rear footwell fan, and underneath you can pull it up. I'll see if I can get a better camera angle. Okay, so underneath the carpet here, you can pretty much see what I was talking about. You've got that rivet that kind of holds the whole assembly together, but then it comes down, and that's where you've got this bolt, and that bolt is a 17. So you'll be able to get on there, undo that, and that's going to remove the assembly, and that would then allow you to take this apart, get this out of here. I'm guessing it's going to be a similar sort of thing to a brake cable on a bicycle or something like that, with some sort of clip on there, and that will come away and then allow you to remove this bit from the assembly. And then from there, what you'll be able to do is feed that back up through that hole, and that will get it out of this bit of trim. Obviously that will come through this bit of trim, like I say. That then frees up this bit. You'll be able to take it back through this bit of trim, which is the top bit from up here. Then you'll be able to release this bit here, if you can see with the light there. That's a 17 as well. That bit will then come away, and then you'll have basically where it comes down then behind this bit, it runs back in to the main assembly there. I'm guessing this fits in here. Yep, this fits in as a 17.2. So that will allow you then to remove that. Obviously you've got on here the various plugs and stuff like that, so you need to disconnect them so that you can take it out safely. But then that will allow you to get that whole assembly out, I'm imagining, and then you'll be able to get your new assembly back in there and put it back in the reverse fashion. So I'm not sure what the torque settings are on here, but I'm guessing they're going to be relatively tight, probably something like 120 Newton meters, maybe there or thereabouts ish. I should have showed you as well, once you get this piece off, the kind of top fix in here, what it does is come down just through this kind of little spring here. So the spring just at the top there, you just need to push that to the side, and then you can obviously just take that off and that'll come away from the seatbelt there. Mine was a bit dusty, as you can see, so that would need to come off obviously, and then yeah, you'd have the whole thing in your hand basically. So now I'm guessing I just need to try and get all these bits and pieces, all the panel stuff back together. So it looks a bit of a mess at the minute, but let's see what we can do. Let's get it back together. If as part of changing the seatbelt you wanted to change the actual clasp that's on the chair as well, you can do that obviously just by removing this fix in here. I think it's a 17 socket as well, but then obviously you've got the sensor on it, so you've got two cables obviously that go into it there, so you might be able to change them there, because otherwise if you follow the wiring loom back, it comes back through and basically comes into the plug, and you'd need to kind of open up the plug and re-terminate them back into there. So it might be easier to do them in here in the end if you needed to do that, if yours was faulty. And of course, while the seat's out, I'm going to take the opportunity to give all the trim a really good clean. So I'm just going to go over it now with some of this Meguiar stuff and a nice clean cloth. Okay, so all them trim bits are polished up nicely. I've even taken the opportunity to give it a little hoover as well. So next thing up is just to get the seat back in. Okay, so now we've got the seat back in. We've got the plug connected, the floor's nice and hoovered and tidy, all the seals are back on, all the trim's back together. So one last thing to do, just to connect the battery back up. Great, okay, so now we're back in the car, keys are in, let's get the ignition on. That looks good so far. We just shut the driver's door. As expected, we've got our usual error messages, which is fine, so we'll start the engine up. There we go. Do the old ritual. All the way right, all the way left, back to middle, turn it off, key out, key back in, start it up again, and we are left with needing to change the time and date, and everything else is good. Okay, brilliant. So everything's back together and it's all good. No error messages, no nothing like that, no airbags went off, so we're all good. So hopefully that's been useful to someone. If you've enjoyed it, remember, you know, hit like below, means a lot to me. If you haven't done so already, remember to hit subscribe coming up here now. Really appreciate your time watching. I hope it's been interesting for you. Thanks very much, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.